Good morning, everyone. Glad you could join us today for this morning service. Uh, it's good that we're here together, even if it's again under these circumstances of having to participate remotely in these services. We'll begin this morning's service with a reading of Sambujo, followed by the reading of Juseige. So please join us in the reading of Juseige. Will you please join now in the reading of Golden Chain? Yay, Gassho, please. I am a link in Amida's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Again, good morning and welcome to this morning's service. I miss the rain. You know, we were so happy in December when we were having all of that rain and snowfall in the Sierras. And we seem to be getting out of our drought. But now people are saying that this has been the driest January on record. We have had no rainfall throughout January. And I'm starting to not remember what rain was like. When it rained for the first time, I think I must have been at home in the morning because I went out the back door and stood in the rain because it was so nice to feel, or to see and feel the rain falling. Of course, you know, people in the East are having a terrible time with the snow and wind that is causing such great hardship in the East. I mean, you can prepare for it to some extent, but you know, when you have that kind of cold and snowfall and wind, it's going to cause damage and it's going to cause a hardship. And here in the West, now we're back into no rain. When the rain started to come, when the clouds started to come in, you know, I started to remember the things that I missed, and it really didn't kind of occur to me so vividly. Things like the shadow of clouds moving over the hills back behind us. We had not seen that for such a long time because we had no clouds to cast shadows on those hills. But when the rain came, and of course we've had clouds even during the drought period. Even now we occasionally have clouds, but the kinds of huge cumulus clouds that are actually dark on the bottom and light on top, that roll across the sky and cast shadows, those kinds of things that I realized how much I missed seeing those things. And we're back again into a rainless period. We were able to enjoy some of that for a little while. I don't know, maybe you don't miss the rain. Maybe you're a person who likes sunshine. But I miss that. I miss the rain. I miss the images that are so kind of comforting, right? When we see things like that, rainfall and clouds, and to see in the morning as the sun is coming up, to see the rays of sun coming through the cloud cover, or in the evening to see the sun casting its light on the clouds overhead. I'm missing all of that, all that weather that in December was so wonderful to see and to feel and to breathe. And of course, the patterns that we are seeing now are the result of climate imbalance that we are experiencing, globally. This kind of climate that is not in balance, that we have been able to kind of ignore for a very long time, but now is a time that we are realizing how profoundly we have affected not just the climate, but how we've affected our environment, and how that environment is expressing itself through everything from the migration of birds to, there was a article about the weather being affecting or supporting a virus that is now killing moose in the east, to the drought that will continue to be in now since the rains have not come. And I think we all have a part in thinking about how we will respond to these changes, not just through adaptation. Adaptation certainly is important because we're going to be in this state for a very long time. It's not going to stop all of a sudden. It's like a big train that's moving. It's going to take a while for that to slow down and then turn around and begin to see improvements in the global effects that supports our lives. But we have to begin at some point. And if we don't begin, if we are unable to put in place the kinds of things that are going to turn this around, or to slow it down at least, we're not going to experience those kinds of days where we can stand out in the rain and know that things are going to be okay. Each of us has a part, whether we eat less meat or not use plastics or drive a non-internal combustion vehicle. Electric vehicles are something that I think we're looking toward, but the electricity has to come from somewhere. And if we ignore that end of our driving habits, we'll continue to contribute carbon into the atmosphere, which is, of course, the main driver of this weather pattern that we've are now caught up in. One of the things that we didn't realize, or at least I didn't realize, how important the ocean is in terms of absorbing carbon and heat into the ocean. But the ocean is heating up because it's absorbing a lot of this heat that is being trapped on Earth. But it's also absorbing carbon into the ocean, which is acidifying the ocean, and we're starting to see the effects of that acidification on the coral reefs, which again, have another problem associated with the death of reefs. But we can turn things around if we all do our part to help with that. You know that we're working on our education building across the street, and we're working with an architect whose interest has been in sustainable buildings. And one of the things that we became interested in a few years ago was mass timber, the use of mass timber to build rather than a traditional slab, pouring concrete and putting up buildings. With mass timber, wood is layered, kind of like big plywood panels, but they're thick, and that's used as the primary building material. Again, rather than concrete, which is a tremendous contributor to carbon in our atmosphere. And the mass timber has two benefits. One, it's quicker to put up, and so it doesn't impact the surrounding area where the building is being put up. It doesn't require staging of heavy equipment. But the other side is that the mass timber, the timber has before it was timber, made into timber, it was a tree. And as a tree, the tree sequesters carbon. It pulls in carbon in order to grow. And so we use that tree that has now brought carbon or sequestered carbon into its structure, and we use that to build with. So we are using material that will sequester carbon for many years to come. And we're trying to help as we plan for this new building that we'll put up across the street, using materials and practices that will help to offset the carbon that would normally be contributed in these kinds of projects. I miss rain. I hope we get some more rain before summer comes, and I hope each of us will do our part to help turn around this kind of the direction that we're headed in with global warming, climate change, and do our part to help turn that around. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating in this morning's service. As we conclude, will you please join in Gassho and then Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. I think, are we queued up for a Gatha? Yes? Yes, we are. Okay.
I love the story of our Lord. It fills my heart with joy supreme. To those who trust, He grants reward of love and light, the endless stream. I love the story of our Lord. 'Tis meant for all, both young and old. To those with faith He grants release from fears and doubts, from pain untold. I love the story of our Lord. 'Tis full of wondrous tales divine. O Buddha, Lord, we hear Thy word, the holy way of peace be none.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
光降るさのぜの空にそびえ立ついらかのみろここぞは心の住みか手を取りていざやつのわんみ仏の教えを仰ぎ手を合わせ愚かむ心守られて我らの幸と世の幸を共に築かん
Good morning, BWA members, Sangha, and friends. Welcome to this special service. The BWA has two services throughout the year. The first is Eshini and Kakushini, and this one is the second one. Fusen no Hi and Kisaragi-Ki service. Every year on February 7th, a memorial service is conducted at the Hongwanji, mainly with Shin Buddhist women who gather all over from Japan. Kisaragi is a classic name for February and it symbolizes Lady Takeko Kujo. Lady Kujo led a life of dedication and compassion to people suffering from poverty and other calamities. Lady Kujo was born the aristocratic daughter of the abbot of the Nishi Hongwanji and spent a lifetime as a poet, writer, humanitarian, and artist. She is recognized as the co-founder of the Buddhist Women's Association. Let us now begin the service with meditation and sutra chanting by Rinban Sakamoto and Reverend Mikame, Sambujo, Butsu Ge, followed by the three treasures by Rinban Sakamoto and San Kie Mon by Reverend Mikame.
Will you please join now in the reading of the three treasures? Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in a life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriads of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo.
Will please join me reading 第三問、三キエモンをご紹介いたします。人参受け方し、今すでに受く。仏法聞き方し、今すでに聞く。好み根性に向かってどせずんば、さらにいずれの章に向かってか、好みをどせん。大衆もろともに、四神に参謀に帰依し奉るべし。自ら仏に帰依し奉る。まさに願わくは主情とともに、大道を大下して無常意を起こさん。自ら法に帰依し奉る。まさに願わくは主情とともに、深く胸像に入りて、知恵海のごとくならん。自ら僧に帰依し奉る。まさに願わくは主情とともに大種を通りして一切無下ならん。無常人人未明の方は百千万号にも相合うことかたし。我今検問し授事することを得たり。願わくは如来の真実義を下し奉らん。ナモアミダ仏、ナモアミダ仏、ナモアミダ仏、ナンマンダ仏、ナンマンダ仏。
And now we will have Daihyo Oshoko by Janice Doi, representing both the San Jose Betsuin and the BWA. Thank you, Janice. Before Paul puts on the Betsuin Choir's Seiya song, I want to do the English translation. This song is very special because The words of the lyrics were written by Lady Kujo. How beautiful the starry sky. Who could know the mystery of the heavens? When these countless eyes shine brilliantly, my heart is filled with joy. Many numerous than the sands of the Ganges are the Buddhas. When I hear that they watch over us night and day, my heart is filled with peace. Thank you, Betsuin Choir. That was lovely. And now for our speaker, who needs no introduction. She is our own Reverend Mikame. She's been with us for a little over 2.5 years. She came in 2019, and because of the pandemic, we haven't seen her in person very much over the last 2 years, but fortunately, through technology, we are able to do virtual services. She also does yoga on Saturday mornings, and once a month conducts Japanese service. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Reverend Mikame.
Thank you, Sumi, for a kind introduction. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for the special opportunity to commemorate the Lady Kujo, who made a great contribution to establish our Buddhist Women's Association. So I'd like to start my talk by reading a poem written by Lady Takeko Kujo. Will you please join me in Kansho? Now realizing that I was always embraced by Amida's great hands, I made a foolish attempt to rebel. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Thank you very much. So I have a question at the beginning of my talk. So what do you put in the center of your life? What do you rely on in your life? These questions are repeatedly posed to the attendees of the services, not only through the Dharma talk, but also by the temple decorations. So when you visited the main hall in the Buddhist church, although we cannot visit the temple in person now, but you can observe our hondo virtually, right, through this virtual services. But what can you see in the center of the inner altar or naijin? Or what can you see in the center of your home altar, obutsudan? Yes, we can see the statue of standing Amida Buddha in the center of the altar space. And the statue of Amida, or scroll of the 6 kanji characters named Namo Amida Butsu, are enshrined as an object of reverence in Jodo Shinshu Buddhist churches all over the world. Namo Amida Butsu and Amida Buddha are enshrined in the center of a whole, which means that these are something which they are valued the most in the temple, in this tradition. Is it because the statue were carved by the special artists, or gold leaf is put on the statue? If it is a scroll, is it considered as valuable because it was written by the eminent calligrapher? It could be. But however, we value Amida Buddha and Namo Amida Butsu because their material and artistic values are highly evaluated as art. But rather because we focus on the value of the meaning which Amida Buddha and Namo Amida Butsu shows us by hearing and understanding how Amida Buddha and Namo Amida Butsu relate to our lives. By doing this, I believe that we can appreciate the true value of Amida Buddha, why they are placed in the center of a whole. I rephrase the first question like this. What is the most important things, and what do you value the most in your life? What do you put in the center of your life? It is kind of hard to choose only one, but I know that everyone has their own important treasures in their lives. What would you answer? Let's say some might say family, friendship, affection, money, beer, health, karaoke, traveling. In my case, Korean dramas, good food, hot spring. Yeah, they come to my mind endlessly. Then I have another and additional question for you. Do you think if the things or people you value in your life also value you the most, anytime in any situation, without changing their attitude or condition? Do you think they cherish you the most and stay by your side, no matter what happens to you at any stage of your life? What would you say? The moment someone finds something important or something which seems valuable to them, it might make their lives happier and their hearts might flutter. However, unfortunately, there are limits in our human world and what humans produce. Sometimes something which you believe can betray you. We suffer from the gap between our ideal and the reality. Having something of great value might be an expression of our hearts that wants to be cherished and recognized by someone. That is why we may continue to seek something or someone to fill the missing part, which is a gap in the heart. There are many scenes in our lives. Sometimes the things goes well as we wished. Sometimes it doesn't. If the situation changes, something we think is important, believe in, and hold on to the hand can go away and turn away from us in a second. There may come times when we can't take good care of even ourselves by ourselves. What we believe used to work everywhere may no longer work anywhere. Tomorrow is not promised even the next moment. We'll never know how we behave tomorrow in the next moment if the cold still prompts us. At such times, even when we get fed up with everything and we want to abandon ourselves, and we cannot take good care of ourselves, it is only Amida Buddha and Namo Amida Butsu which value our lives more than we care about ourselves. Amida always embraces our lives in a wisdom and compassion, saying, I will never leave you alone anytime, no matter what happens. I will embrace your lives at any time, because you're qualified to be born into Buddha, and you're the most important to me. Amida Buddha is a Buddha who cherishes us the most and embraces us anytime, even if we don't think Amida is the most important for us at that time. Shakyamuni Buddha showed us how Amida Buddha wants to value everything in his sutra called the Larger Sutra. Before Amida Buddha attained enlightenment and became a Buddha, Amida had been at the stage of Bodhisattva Dhammakara, had been accumulating the merits to make his vows come true and become a Buddha by achieving his practices for an endless period of time. When Amida was still at the stage of Bodhisattva Dharmakara, 48 different vows were set up. Each vow goes like this. If this vow is not completed, may I not attain the perfect enlightenment. There are 48 different vows which a Bodhisattva Dharmakara made like this. Here's one of my favorite of Amida's vows. So it is the third vow out of 48, which is called Everyone's Colored of Genuine Gold. Here it goes like this. If, when I attain Buddhahood, the humans and devas in my land should not all be the color of genuine gold, may I not attain the perfect enlightenment. Some may wonder, I prefer red, I prefer blue to gold. And why is it gold here? Here are two characteristics of gold which are expressed as a metaphor in this vow. One is that the gold is very valuable, and the other is that it never decays or fades and remains as it is. So this vow shows us Bodhisattva Dharmakara promise to make it true and make us realize that the value of each life will never decay or change, and every life will thoroughly always shine as a valuable life, just like the characteristics of gold. Now the Bodhisattva Dharmakara became a Amida Buddha, and as the primal vow goes, Amida is reaching to us through our reciting and hearing the resonance of Namo Amida Butsu here and now. To make us understand easily the Amidas here, the statue and image of Amida Buddha and the scroll is praised and shown in the center of a whole. The space where we can revere Namo Amida Buddha is and hear and recite Namo Amida Butsu is where we can be mindful of Amida's wish, which is overflowing in our lives. So life is distinguished in our living world. In this world, we unconsciously separate the lives that are convenient for us and the lives that are inconvenient, and try to eliminate the inconvenient life as much as possible and try to keep it away from us. On the contrary, it also means that we are evaluated by people surrounding us. It is inevitable for us to be judged as long as we live in this world. We sometimes suffer from being evaluated by others, and even self-assessment also could be our suffering, and we sometimes might disrespect ourselves. Also, our value, perspective, and trend in this world can be always sway up and down because on the situation and condition which we have at that time. So we are always trying to follow the time, value, and trend disparately to try not to be left behind in this world. But it sometimes makes us feel overwhelmed. Trying to follow and catch something is hard and need energy. Behind the scene of setting up those 48 vows, there are always our sufferings, tears, fear, and anxieties. Bodhisattva Dharmakara has seen and known how we have lived and didn't want to abandon us. So Bodhisattva Dharmakara made those 48 vows, which with a strong determination, because Amida solely wanted to give a great peace to every living thing who suffers from the gap between the reality and our ideals. People and things in this world might turn their back to us when the situation changes for the worse. But Amida will never turn away and run away from us, because the Amida is always trying to reach us and tell us Amida embraces our lives through the resonance of Amida, Namo Amida Butsu, which we hear and recite. Will you join me in reciting Nembutsu? Yeah. So we know we are all embraced by Amida's wisdom and compassion here and now through hearing, reciting, and thinking of Namo Amida Butsu. Therefore, I can say that there's a great gratitude to be able to have an opportunity to pay attention to Amida Buddha through putting our hands together in Gassho in front of our altar at the temple and houses in our busy daily life. So it means we have an important place to be free from any calculations, judgment, and prejudice. And it is a special place to be able to mindful that each life is equally accepted as a brilliant life whenever we are in any situation. So it gives us the strength and a great peace to be us who we are here and now. So that is why Shuina Shonin suggests us to put Amida Buddha and the Dhamma, Buddha Dhamma in the center of our lives as a grounded mind, and appreciate each moment in our lives through hearing Amida Buddha's primal vow. Not only Shinran Shonin, but also many Buddhist priests, followers have gotten over their difficulties and hardships in their lives with the great support of Amida's vow. One of the most well-known ladies in the Jodo Shinshu tradition and one of the people who most deeply appreciated the Dhamma was Lady Takeko Kujo. So she was the one of the most familiar female contributors in Jodo Shinshu. She was a daughter of the Koso no Tani, the 21st hereditary head of the Jodo Shinshu and the founder of Buddhist Women's Association. So she was one of the most beautiful ladies in her time, and also an active poet, and left many beautiful poems which were filled with her compassion and appreciation of Dhamma. Although she passed away at the age of 49, she devoted herself to help others and to charitable activities in the wide-ranging fields. Her passion and activities for helping others always came from the joy of Buddha Dhamma. I'd like to share one of the the poem which I read the first of this Dhamma talk again. Not realizing that I was always embraced by Amida's great hands, I made a full attempt to rebel. When this poem was written, the Great Kanto earthquake occurred in Tokyo and other Kanto region, too, in 1923. The earthquake had the magnitude of 7.9 on the moment magnitude scale. Estimated casualties casualty total is about 149,800 deaths, including about 40,000 who went missing and were presumed dead. It is considered as the worst natural disaster ever to strike in Japan. Lady Takeko herself lived in Tsukiji, Tokyo at the time, where Tsukiji Honganji is now located. Was also affected, and she had the hard time. When she tried to leave her home in Tsukiji and evacuated to her brother's house, she carried two bags of her belongings. But unfortunately, her residential home and the main hall of Tsukiji Honganji were completely burned down due to the big fire. While attempting to escape from the big fire, she might have thought she was dying. Seeing the familiar buildings, Tsukiji Honganji that collapsed due to the big earthquake, and the people who were weeping on her way, she might have panicked and was so sad. But even in the middle of the turmoil, she realized that Namo Amida Butsu, unconsciously and endlessly being uttered out in her voice, and felt the warmth of Amida, like this. Maybe like this, yeah. That was a special moment for her to truly realize that she was embraced by dynamic and unchanged compassion Amida, which never abandons us anytime and anywhere, even in the middle of the turmoil. Her deep appreciation that she was not alone made her extend her sincerity toward other injured people and start her activities with her compassion. After being hit by an earthquake, Lady Takeko worked actively so hard to promote various projects, such as the reconstruction of Tsukiji Honganji Temple, which was completely destroyed due to the big fire, and rescue activities for the injured and orphans caused by the earthquake. She published the poetry and essay collections to express the joy of a Buddha Dharma and appreciation of Amida Buddha. The title of poetry book is Muyuge in Japanese, which refers to trees and means flower without sorrow. Muyuge, or flower without sorrow, considered as one of the three Buddhist flowers, and it is said to be the flower in a tree seen in the place where Shakyamuni Buddha was born. I believe that Lady Takeko chose the name of this flower as the title because the name flower without sorrow was suitable to express her joy of Dharma, and her appreciation is symbolized simply. Opposite to the name of the flower without sorrow, our lives are filled with many sorrows, as Shakyamuni Buddha showed us in Four Noble Truths. Sorrow is feeling a reaction towards sufferings when we experience a friction and things doesn't go as we wished. When we lose someone or something important, our hearts and minds might be belittling and filled with sadness, fears toward loneliness, and anxieties. As long as we live in this world, we cannot be free from these feelings. When suffering and sorrow conquer our hearts, it makes us feel lonely and difficult to see the world as it is. However, just like the title of her essay book, when she knew that she was truly embraced Amida Buddha's great hands, even in the middle of the sorrow, she might have seen many weeping and injured people on her way to her brother's house. But I bet she must have been happy to be able to realize that Amida was embracing her life as she was intimidated by the fear of a big fire. But Amida was embracing other injured and suffering people in the same way, just like on the ordinary days. The feeling of assurance beat her sorrow, and her heart was warmed by the joy to touch the great compassion. That is why her activity and publications are all based on the feeling of gratitude to Amida Buddha, which always stays by her side. And she also wished to do activities widely, which she could share the feeling of the compassion, which she appreciated. Her passion, her heart of gratitude to Amida has been shared with many people in the world, still remains in the core of their gatherings and activities for Buddhist Women's Association and our BWA too. It is great to have something valuable which satisfies our desires and add colors to our lives. But I would say it would be more meaningful for our lives to have something which always values our lives, our whole lives, and it will give us confidence, real strength, and compassion. Again, what do you put in the center of your life? What do you rely on in your life? Shinran Shonin and our prominent masters, Lady Takeko and many other ancestors who valued Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion and lived strongly are always posing these questions to us when we sit in the front of Buddha and hear Dharma. Remember, Amida always put our lives in the center and embraces our lives as a valuable anytime, even when we turn away from Amida. I hope we can put Amida in the center of our lives. Remember Amida. Remember, put our lives. I hope we can put Amida in our lives. Confusing. I hope we can put Amida in our center of our lives or hearts, even only during this service together today, and so slowly deepen our understanding, appreciation of Amida in our lives. And I hope we can refresh our hearts and minds, and we will be able to share the compassion of Amida with more and more people through our action. So I'd like to conclude my Dhamma talk with Kansho. Please join me in Kansho. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Reverend Mikame. Once again, to remind us to put Amida in the center of our lives. Amida never abandons us. Amida always cherishes us. Amida always reaches out to teach compassion. And for your stories on Lady Kujo, which is the reason why we celebrate her life, as short as it was. Thank you very much. And now we will have Ondokusan by the Betsuin Choir. Thank you, Sanjay Betsuin Choir. BWA is continuing to walk in the footsteps of Lady Kujo. And this year, we are again embarking upon 2 fundraisers. The first is Abode Services. It is a organization that provides safe homes to those who would otherwise be homeless or at severe risk of being homeless. We are collecting full-size toiletries like shampoo, lotion, and socks. There will be a trunk in the office for those donations. We are also inviting Betsuin Sangha and friends to support the Malala Fund, which was funded by Malala and her father. She was a champion for education, particularly girls' education. And she is one of the youngest to receive the Nobel Prize. Please join us by sending a check made out to San Jose BWA, $10 or $25 or more to the San Jose BWA. We will list all the donors in the Dharma newsletter. The deadline is March 31st, so this drive will last from February 1st to March 31st. The heart of our organization is compassion. Thank you for your Dharma. And now I would like to thank Reverend Mikame as our guest speaker today, Rinban Sakamoto, Janice Doi, Elaine Jones and Paul Endo from the choir for putting those beautiful songs of Mrs. Hojo before the service began, and then the songs during the service. Our technical staff, Kevin Kitagawa, Mas Nishimura, and all of you who participated in this morning's service. Please join me in closing Gassho. Namo Amidabus. Namo Amidabus. Namo Amidabus. Thank you again. Take care and stay safe. Bye.